You're welcome to my channel, Mindset Academy, where we want to reproduce the given figure that is displayed at the left hand side of the screen, right? And the question that accompanies this figure says that if you look at it closely, that is, it says diagram sheet shows the front view of a gasket, right? One, draw the given view, that is 1.1. The first thing you have to do, say we should draw the given view to scale of 1:1. That is 1:1 means whatever dimension you have here, that is what you should use. For instance, now if they should give you 20, you use 20. Don't divide. They give you 30, you also use what? 30. Now the next thing here it says insert only 6 dimension, any 2 linear, 2 radial, and 2 diametrical dimensions. That means out of all the dimensions that you have there, they just want you to take only 6. The one linear one and another one that is what? That is radial, and the other one that is what? Diametrical, right? So the next thing here that we have is we should print the following title and scale centrally beneath the completed drawing. That means when we are done, we should put all the name of the diagram just beneath the drawing, right? So this is what we are told to draw, and this is a gasket. So we'll kickstart and see what will happen. Now, if you look at the diagram very well, it is a diagram that we can only draw by using the principles of what? Of tangency. So this is a figure that we can draw using the principle of what? Tangency. So we'll start. Now, let me take all this off. And this is my set square. And this is my t-square here, right? And the t-square, the set square is meant to be on the t-square. And your t-square should be horizontally tangential to the side of your board, standing this way. So both the set square and the c-square must be at an angle of what? 90 degrees to each other, all together. Now we'll start. Now the first thing, if you look at this diagram very well, you can start from any center of your choice. What I mean by any center is this. We have this point here is where a vertical line and horizontal line meet. That's why I call it center, where 2 or more center line meet. This line you see is a center line. That's why you see it dash like a long line, a short line, a long line, a short line. That's the center line. So where the vertical line and the horizontal line meet is our what? The center of the given circle, right? We have another center here. So you can take whatever center, but I will take the bigger center, which is the one that has the bigger circle, which is this particular one here. So I'll take my instrument, right? And I'll place it this way. I will draw a vertical line. I'm putting my instrument. I'm going to draw a vertical line. Can you see that? And I'll also draw an horizontal line this way. So it's meant to be a center line. So I'll prefer using a center line. That is, you use the long one, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, just that way. Alright, or you can start with a faint line like this first. Now this is the center here. So we've gotten that center. Now we'll start drawing that circle in the center. Now if you look at this arrow here, from this center it's pointing to the bigger circle outside, right? And the radius is given to be what? 66. So I am going to take my instrument, right? This is my rule, right? And I'll place it this way. And I'm going to measure 66 from here. This is 66 here. Can you see that? From 0 to 66. And I'll place it at this point here. Then I'm going to draw a circle this way. Just draw a circle. You only go in one direction. Faint line. Hope you can see my circle clearly. So let me make it more visible so you can see that clearly. Now that's the first one for that bigger circle that we have there. Oh, you're good. For the bigger circle out there. Now there's another circle again, and that is 14 millimeter. As in another circle there that we have is given to be 52, arrow 52. You can see the arrow pointing to this circle here, this arc here, right? So I'm going to measure radius of 52 this way on my meter rule from 0 to 52. This 51, this 52. Can you see that? From 0 to what? 52, 5, then 0.2. Then I'll come here and I'm going to draw another circle, faint line. So tangency involves different circle coming together, right? Part of the circle coming together. Now once I have done that, is that the king? Then the next thing that we have here is that from this center to the next center, which is this, is given to be 110. Can you see this 110 here? So if you trace it to this center here, we have what? 110. So what I will do is, from this center, I'll just come from here. Before I will not go straight here. I'll just trace it down with 110 this way. Look at what I'll do here. If I take my instrument and I place it from 0 to 100, right? This is 110 here. Hope you can see that. Then I'll draw another line that will get me to that point. Let's use our normal faint line first. The one we are done with, not change into center line. So I'll just draw a line this way. Hope you can see that. Then that is the horizontal line here. Now the next thing is, from that line, I will now measure 45 to get to the center of that circle. So from this point, I will now measure 45, as you can see on the screen. So if I measure this 45, you see, from 0 to 45. So that will represent the center of the circle there. So I can easily just draw a center line at that point. Long, short, long, short, long, short, long. And also, you can easily just draw it here too. Long, short, long, short, long, short, long. So this is a circle that is here. Which circle? This circles, you see, we have how many circles there? 3. 1, 2, 3. So let's start with the inner one. So the inner circle you see here, it has a diameter. Now, one thing you need to understand again before I forget is that when you are drawing a circle, drawing things like this in tangency, you only work with radius. Now, if you look at this closely, it is given in diameter. When you see this symbol in front of 24, that symbol represents diameter. That means you must divide that particular figure after that symbol by 2 for you to draw in tangency. So if I divide 24 by 2, I'll be having 12, meaning that the radius is what? 12. So I'm going to use the radius of 12 and draw a circle of diameter 24. So how will I do that? So I'll just take my instrument, my ruler, right? And I'm going to measure the diameter of what? 12, from 0 to 12. Can you see that? And I'll place it here at where this horizontal and vertical line meet. Then I'm going to draw, since everything is close by, I'll just close it up. I'll thicken it. If you have a template, you can use a template here. Hope you can see that. So after we've done that, the next thing again is the next circle, If you look at the arrow that is pointing to that circle, now it's given in radius. Arrow here means radius, right? So pointing to the other one. So I'm going to draw another circle of radius, what? 22. So when I place it here, I'm going to measure 22 from 0 to 22. Can you see that closely? And I'll place it at this point. Then I'll draw a circle, faint line now, because I don't know, it's not a complete circle, it's just part of a circle. As you can see, it is not closed. So I'll just draw another circle this way. Now the next one here, it has, if you look at the arrow closely, you discover that the radius pointing to this outer circle here is given to be what? 36. So I'm going to take my instrument also. I'm going to measure 36. You see the way I'm going about it? Draw all the circle, because where there's a radius, there is also what? A circle. Now I'll just, after the 36, look at it again from 0 to 36. Then I'll place it here. And I'm going to draw another circle, faint line. You can see I have drawn 3 different circles. 3 what? Different circles. Hope you can see that clearly. Now after you've done that, now the next thing is, if you look at this point here, where this circle meets this part here, this vertical line, right? This vertical line where the outer circle meets, that is this point here that my arrow is pointing, right? So from that point upward is a distance of what? 20. So I'm going to take my instrument here and I'll measure 20 from 0 here to 20. Can you see that? Then I'll now draw an horizontal line across that point this way. Hope you can see that. So once I have done that, the next thing again is the distance between the thickness of that line is given to be what? 50. So what do? I'll just take half of 50 on my meter rule. Look at what I'm about to do with my compass. Is a compass here, and I'll place it here and 25, half of 50. And when I place it at this center point here again, can you see that? Then I'm going to mark 25 and what? 25, which I am going to bring down to touch my circle. As you can see, it's coming down to touch it at this point. So when I bring it down this way, this point is where my arrow is pointing on the screen. I bring it down to touch this faint line first and make it more visible. Then this one too, from here, come here to touch it too. Faint line first. Hope you can see that. That is that line you're seeing. But there's another circle in there, and that circle has a radius of what? A radius of 10. The circle in here is called what? Is a radius of what? A radius of 10. Now let's proceed. So once I have done that, I'll just take my instrument. The circle that you see at this side where my arrow is pointing, it has a radius of what? A radius of 10. So from 0 to 1 is 10. Can you see that? And I'll place it here. Then I'm going to draw a circle here. So I'm thickening it. Hope you can see that. Remember, this is a radius of what? Radius of 10. Now, if you now do it that way, then there is a fillet. When you see a curve at this side where my arrow is pointing, that curve here, we'll call it what? A fillet. It is also here too, and it's also here too. So what we can see, all the fillet there has a radius of what? A radius of 10 altogether. So with that same radius, you see, I have not extended this. It's still the same radius of 10. So I'll just place it here at where this line meet the circle, and I'll mark an arc here. I'll also mark another arc here, right? Then with the same radius, I'll come to this point where it touches here. I'm going to strike an arc. I'll come here also where it touches here. I'm going to strike another arc. So where the two circles meet, the two lines intersect, I'm going to draw a circle here. So let's adjust that and see. Do you get what I'm trying to say here? So I'll be starting with this guy here, right? So when I place it here to get the fillets here, with the same radius of 20, I'll come here and I'm going to mark 20 here and also 20 here. Can you see that? I'll come to the same point where it intersect here. I'll strike an arc. I'll come here too. I'm going to strike another arc. That's with the radius of 10. So when I place it where it meets this point here, where they intersect, I'm going to have this. That's the first one. I'll come here also where it intersect here also. I'll do the same thing. I'll mark 10 here and also 10 here. Alright, so where they meet, I'll place it at this point. I'll strike an arc and I'll come to this point also. I'll strike another arc. So where these two lines meet, I'll get another arc here, which I am going to take in. So can you see that? So that is the fillet for the top here. So there's another fillet at this point here and here. If you look at the diagram closely. So from here, if I should come to this point, I'll just place it at this point also. I'll mark up with the same 20 and I'm going to mark this side, this circle here with the same 20. Right? I'll come here also. I'll mark up with the same 20. I'll mark the circle here with the same 20. Can you see that? So I can now extend it if I want to, or I'll just come here with the same radius. I'll strike an arc. What's the radius? 10. I'll come here also. I'll strike another arc. So where they meet, I'm going to adjust it so that I can just connect this and this together. Hope you can see that. Then I'll come here too. I'll place it here. I'll connect this and this together. So let me adjust that carefully. So by doing that, I can now thicken it. So if I thicken it from this point to this point, then from this point to this point, then from this point to this point. Can you see that? So that's what we want. We've already done this. This one should be able to be taken too. Now we are moving forward. So if you look carefully, what next is to draw. There's an arc that is connecting this and this together. An arc connecting this. Look at the arc here. And what is that arc? The arc has a radius of what? 148. So since the arc is coming outside, it's going out, see that what? It is internal. I will explain that to you. Since it is coming outside, that meaning that since the arc, I will explain that soon. So since the arc is bulging, it's coming out, so we say it is what? Internal. Right? So we are going to subtract. So whenever the arc is bulging, we are going to subtract. What are we subtracting? The radius of the main circle, which is the arc 148, from the radius of this circle it is touching. So when we do that, we say 148 minus 66, because the radius of this circle here is 66, as you can see. Look at where the arrow is pointing, which is 66. So when I do that, 148 minus what? 66. That is going to give us what? That will be 82. So I'm going to measure 82 from 0 to 82. Hope you can see that. This is 82 here. Then I'm going to place it at this point. Then I'll strike an arc at this side here. Hope you can see that. I'll strike an arc at this side here. So that is the arc we have. Hope you can see that arc. Now the next thing is this other one here. The radius is given to be 36. So I am going to subtract the same 148 minus 36, and we're going to be having 112. So I'm going to measure 112 on my meter rule. So from 0 to 112. This is 100. This is 112 here. 10, 11, 12, somewhere around here. Can you see that? Then I'm going to place it here. Then I'm going to strike an arc. So what do you notice? This is where the first arc and the second arc intersect. So that is my point that I am going to use to connect this circle to this one. Hope you can see what I'm trying to pass on to you here. From this point to this. So I'm going to thicken it. So it's going to meet. Hope you can see that. So that is the arc connecting those two circles. Right? So that's for that one. We're coming up. Now the next one, let's complete it. There's another one that's connecting this to this also. Now what do you notice? It is going out. It is going in. This here, or the one here we did here, is bulging. Why this going here is going in. So whenever it's going in, you subtract. Remember, remember you subtracted here to get this. Now you're going to add here to get this, right? So this is external, this is internal. Why am I saying this is external? I'm saying this is external. I'm saying this is internal because of what? This circle is inside. This is like it's engulfing these two here, right? Let's just move forward. So we'll move forward here, and let's start that now. So the same radius here and the radius here that we're going to use. We know this one here is given to be 66, right? So I'm going to add now 66 with what? The radius of this one here. And if you look at it, the arrow of 48 is pointing, right? The radius of that is what? Is given to be what? 48. So I'm going to measure 48 plus 66. So when you add 48 and 66, what will you be having? So that is 100 and what? 114. So I will just take my meter rule. Remember, we added this radius and that radius I showed you earlier, which is this. So that's 114. So I'm going to take from 0 to 114. This is 100 here, and this is 14 here, right? 110, 114. Then I'll come to this center here also, and I'm going to strike another arc again. Hope you can see that. So once I have done that, I will now come here also. I'm going to do the same thing. So the radius of 48, the same 48, because they have one thing in common, which is that arc they have there. So the radius of 48 plus the radius of 36. So when you add 40 and 36, what are we going to have? That will be 84. So I'll measure 84 again here from 0 to 84. And I'll place it at this point. Then I'm going to strike an arc to cut the other one, to intersect the other one. So this is where it is here. Now I'll now place my compass here and I'll adjust it to those points. You see what I'm talking about? So we have gotten this one that we need here, right? We've gotten this. Remember, there's another one inside again. So I'll just show you something to do. You don't have to really stress yourself. With the same thing you use to get this, you can move this to this point also, and you get this. Hope you can see that. Let's get this. Hope you're seeing that. And the same thing you use from this to get this one out here, you use it to get the inner one instead of wasting your time and start measuring all over again. That's for the inner circle. So now if you notice it now, the inner one is not complete. But before we do anything, the inner one is what? There's it has been cut at this part here. So this is what we are going to do. From this same center line you see here, this line you see here, from that same point here, I am going to measure 30 upward. You can see the 30. So I'm going to measure 30 upward. So from 0, I'll measure 30. This is 30 here. So that 30, that is where I will now draw my line outward from that 30. So this is what I will now do here. Then from that same 30, the next thing I'm going to do here will now be, so we'll be coming back to this point here. Let's do the one we have in first. Let's taking this out. So I want to take in all what we need here. So I'm only giving this space here and this other space inward around here. Right? So let's take in this out. So I have taken all this side here. What did I do? I just taken it. I went to my former line, took my line and I taken it, right? With the same measurement, I taken this one too, right? Then I come here also. I did the same thing here, place it here, and I taken this also here. Are you with me? And I taken here too. So now remember that we left this place. We're coming back here to do that shape. You can see there. So after that, there's something in here that we've not yet done. So we're about to do that now, right? So this is what we are going to do. Now, if you look closely, we want to do this the shape you see in here. So what you're going to do simply is that we're giving radius of this outer arc here, and that outer arc is given to be what? 70. As you can see, it's pointing at 70. Now, what will I get to the center of that radius? If you trace it, look at, I will just put a line. It's going towards this point here. So it means that to get the center, I need to measure 33 away from the center. Are you with me? So I'll measure 33 away from the center. So how will I get the line of the center? So I'll measure 33 away from the center, then I'll measure 23 down. So the first thing I'll do is I am going to measure 23 down from here. This is 23. Then from that point, I'll now draw a line this way, which I will now measure 33 from 0 to 33. And this is what we have here. So from that point, that will be my center line for that guy there. Let me just read long, short, long, short, long. Right? And here also, I'll just complete it here. Long, short, long. So this is the center to this other arc here. So to get that arc, I'll now measure 70. To get that arc, I'll now measure 70 on my meter rule. So from 0 to 7 is 70. Right? That is what I will now place here. And I'm going to strike an arc of 70. Can you see that? Then the other one is, you look less carefully from that same line again. If you look at it, I'll now measure 35 downward. So that means I'll now measure 35 from 0. I'll measure 35 here. This is 35, right? I will now draw an horizontal line on that point this way, which I will now measure 80. You can see this 80 from this same center line. Also, I'll measure 80 away from it. So after measuring 35 down, I'll measure 80 away from it. So from 0 to 8 is 80. So it means that this point you see here, long, short, long, is the center, right? And 35. So this is where I would just draw my line up there. Long, short, long, short, long. So this point you see, I'll now take another 70 again because it's still 70. Right? This is 70. I've not adjusted it, so I'll be having this. Hope you can see that. Now there's something you need to understand. There's an arc here and another arc here, as you can see, that is joining these two arcs together to make it to be a closed loop. And that arc has a radius of what? Of 20. So the problem is, I don't know the center of that arc. So I want to get the center of that arc. This time I mean this arc you see here, right? By using these two radius. Now what do you notice? If I draw, let me just imitate or mimic a circle here. If I draw a circle here this way, or look at the diagram on the screen, there's a circle there, but that circle, if I place a circle here and I place a circle here, it means that that circle is inside this bigger circle. This circle is like it is inside this circle here is engulfing these two circles. It means that what? It is what? Internal, it is bulging. Like I told you now, is what? Is bulging. Whenever it is bulging, we're going to what? We're going to subtract. So I'll just say 20 minus 70, and that'll give us 50. So on my meter rule, I'm going to measure 50 from 0 to 5 is 50. So I'll now place it on this point because this is the point that gave me this arc here, and I'll strike an arc, and I'll strike it here too because it is the same thing here. So similarly, that same circle you see, this is here, so it means these two circles are on top of this bigger arc here, and it's like it's going in. So now you're going to what? You're going to add, and the radius of this arc, which is 70, plus the radius of this circle, this arc here, which is 20. So 70 plus 20 will give us what? 90. So I'll come here, and I am going to measure what? 90. So I'll now place it at the point that gave me this arc, and that will now be from 0. I'll now cut that point, and I'll cut this point. So they are meeting at this point here, and at this point here. So that is why I'll now place my compass, and that will give me the circle that I need. So you should learn how to adjust it. Hope you can see that. Then I'll come here also. I'll do the same thing too. So you can now take in that. So I can take in that, but don't do what I'm doing. Use your instrument, your French curve, and you can just easily take in that with your compass. That's like this way, taking this out with your compass. Don't use your hand. Hope you can see that. So this is the center that we need. This, and this. So that is what that circle there. Now the last thing we're going to do is we have something here. So this is what we're about to draw now. Now, if you notice the diagram very well, that arc you see is coinciding with this line here, this point here. So I'll take my instrument and I'll place it here. Then I'll draw an arc this way. So the arc is meeting here, and the arc is also meeting at this point here. Can you see that? So what I'll first of all do, let me draw this arc with the radius of what, 10. So when I place my compass with my instrument, I'll measure the radius of 10. Radius of 10, as you can see on the screen. And I'll place it here to draw a fillet. 10 and 10. Coming again. 10 and 10. So it's meeting here. So this is what will now give me the arc I need. So I'll just train it from this point straight down here. So here also, I'll do the same thing to the 10. With the same just I'll mark 10 here, and I'll mark another 10 here. I'll come here, strike an arc. I'll come here also, I'll strike another arc. So where they meet, I'll get this. So we're having something this way. Right? So it's remaining this other one here. So if I should do that, that one also is meeting here too. So we'll place it this way, strike an arc here, strike another arc here from this point, place this from this point. We'll do this. So what I have here, I can easily have this. So we don't really need all this one here, so I'll just stick in this from this point to this point. Then this is coming like this. Right, so this is not needed. So I can easily remove this away this way. So we have successfully reproduced the given figure. So what they're not telling us from that question is the first thing it says we should reproduce the diagram. We have reproduced the diagram here. And the next thing here, it says we should, that is 1 point, we should insert 6 dimension, one linear, right? What do they mean by linear? You can just take the vertical one, just the linear, and let me just show you. We know this line you see, we didn't do it earlier. It is a center line. So from here, there's a center line here. Long, short, long, short, long, short. That's how it. So they say the linear. So that means I'm going to take this out a little bit, right? And also and this part too out a little bit. So this is a linear here, a straight line. That's what I mean by linear. So make one arrow to be sharp. The other one to here should be what? Should be sharp. Then this here also. So you know what the distance is? Here is 20. And the other point here is given to be 86. And I can come to the down one here, which is 110, to this one here. So this is 110. 110. So this is linear. And you see two the as in two diametrical. Is that taken? So we should just choose the two diametrical here, the one that has diameter, and that is this 24 here. Diameter 24, and the radial too, which is this, the radius. So we have this, which is this one here, and the radius is given to be 52. So we have arrow 52. Then another one again, just take any one, then another one coming again from here to this. So that's radius of 66. So that's what they asked. Then you write your um you call it your title. You label the diagram here just beneath it. So under it you write a gasket. That let me show you. This is how you do it under. This is what you do under, like let me just do it somewhere around here. A long one. Then I'll measure this downward. Then I'll measure 10 from 0 to 10. From here to here 10. Then from this I'll count. This is 0. The 3 0, 1 2 3. I'll come again 3 0 1 2 3 or 2 is better. I'll just have this, just like the way you know how to do your lettering. So the outer one is thickened and the inner one is faint. So you just write gasket. With whatever they say you write. This is how you do it. So if you find it helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and also share. Thank you.